14 days behind schedule, blaming it on delays with federal funding and utility companies. IndyGo asking the board for an extra $3.5 million to get the project back on track so it will be ready to open by the end of the summer. But that's the first time we've ever heard the construction was this delayed. At the end of the meeting,
Hey Mike, Paris from Channel 6, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
We confronted IndyGo CEO Mike Terry.
To know that now it's 114 days behind schedule, and this is kind of the first time we're hearing about that, is that concerning that the public didn't know ahead of time?
What's not? I've talked about this in public meetings before. I've been at the Municipal Corporations Committee before at the City Council. So no, this isn't the first time.
In fact, we went to look back at those meetings and we couldn't find any specifics or timeline about those delays or how it was going to impact construction. Now, this accelerated construction timeline is going to have an impact on commuters and people who live in the construction zone. RTV6's Matthew McCullen continues our team coverage after IndyGo just had a news conference to lay out the plan. Matt, good evening.
Good evening, Paris. Just in the last hour, we've been hearing from Justin Sternberg. He is Vice President of Planning and Capital Projects for IndyGo. Sternberg outlining two major important impacts of accelerating the Red Line construction. Beginning Monday, February 11th, a small portion of Virginia Avenue will be closed for 6 weeks. This for utilities, curb, sidewalk, pavement, and station work that had been previously communicated over the past several weeks. Also on Monday, all street parking on College Avenue from 38th to 66th Street will be restricted, IndyGo says, to allow construction crews a safe and continuous work zone.
This acceleration plan will shorten the duration of Red Line construction by 4 months. This will shorten the time that construction is inconveniencing residents, business owners, and drivers in the corridor. We'll be adding as many as 15 construction crews to work simultaneously along the entire 13-mile stretch with the intent of completing all major construction by midsummer.
IndyGo also announcing weekend and evening work to help speed up the project. That'll go until around 7 p.m. through the week with occasional work on Sundays. Mark.
All right, IndyGo looking like they're going to step up the work there just to catch up there. Matthew McCullen and Paris LaBelle with our team coverage tonight. Another traffic concern for you. Both northbound lanes of Meridian Street are now closed between 38th and 46th Streets, and one southbound lane is closed between 40th and 42nd. This will allow for 24-hour repair work on a partially caved-in sewer manhole structure between 40th and 42nd Streets. Work is expected to last 3 days, with the street reopening before evening rush hour on Friday.
Tonight, RTV6 is working for you with details on the Indianapolis Department of Public Works plans to improve roads covered in potholes. 17 streets across the city are part of Phase 1 of the city's strip patching plan. RTV6's Nicole Griffin is live tonight with the new details just announced today. Nicole, what can you tell us about this?
Well, Amanda, good evening. Take a look here. We're at 21st Street near Illinois, where you can see all in this lane of traffic, several potholes here tonight. But the good news for drivers that travel through this area, in the coming weeks, improvements will be made because, as you mentioned, this is one of 17 different streets across the city that will receive strip patching. That's a more permanent solution that uses a hot asphalt mix compared to filling each individual pothole with a cold mix like crews are currently doing now. DPW's newly created street maintenance team will take out portions of the road and lay down a new surface. Filling potholes and strip patching are just two parts of the $126 million transportation improvement plan for 2019, where 167 lane miles and bridges will be resurfaced. Drivers we're hearing from tonight are anxious to see these improvements to make our roads safer.
Terrible, terrible. You can't go nowhere without hitting a pothole.
The roads are kind of bad. Last year, I think, when they had the same problem, they got most of them done, but came right back.
Driving around the city is really a gamble because you swerve one pothole, you hit 2 or 3 more. I think more trucks and more resources is always good as long as it is sent in the right direction and used responsibly.
Well, we do know that strip patching could start as early as next week. That is because the city has negotiated with those hot asphalt plants to open early, nearly a month earlier than they did last year. And some news for all of you putting in those individual pothole requests. We are told those are taking about 3 days to fill. Reporting live tonight, Nicole Griffin, RTV6.
Does anyone there know CPR?
Okay. Go ahead and get him flat on his back on the floor. I'm going to tell you what to do, okay?
You call them when you need the help the most. 911 dispatchers have helped save many lives over the years, but would you be surprised to know not all dispatchers in Indiana are trained in instructing CPR over the phone? Well, now there's a bill making its way through the State House aiming to change that. RTV6's Stephanie Wade shares one woman's story about how that saved her husband's life.
Oh, my God. Listen to me. We're going to do CPR.
When you're in that supercharged moment, it is so hard to remember, what do I do?
It was a matter of life or death for Chris McNamara when her husband Sean had cardiac arrest in their home.
It saved my husband's life. Without that, he most likely would have died.
What saved his life was the 911 dispatcher who gave her clear instructions on how to perform CPR over the phone.
Listen carefully. I'm going to tell you what to do, okay?
911 operators here in Indianapolis are trained to reference this card and give step-by-step instructions to callers to give CPR. For instance, they tell callers to put the patient on their back, where to put their hands, and how to give compressions.
All right, you're going to kneel down beside him. You're going to take the heel of your hand. You're going to place it in the center of his chest.
We're receiving multiple a day. It's not even a weekly, it's daily.
Making it that much more crucial for every dispatcher to be trained in performing telephone CPR. Some people might be surprised that this is not already a state law.
Exactly. We do have emergency medical dispatchers who are certified.
But I found only 1,500 out of the 2,100 people who work at 911 centers across Indiana are actually certified.
A lot of it does come down to time and cost. If you have a smaller center, you may not have, you have a very minimal number of employees.
But through a new bill lawmakers are considering right now, it would standardize all training requirements across the board.
We want to empower family members to be able to help their loved ones. If it's a coworker, you want to help your coworker. And you know, people want to help innocent bystanders.
So they can save other lives like Sean's and keep families together.
It's so important. It was vital.
Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
Well, the bill unanimously passed the Veterans Affairs and Public Safety Committee today. It goes to the full House next week for consideration.
Legislation is in the works that could provide legal protections for Hoosiers acting in self-defense. RTV6 reporter Kara Kenny joins us from the State House with those details.
House Bill 1284 is about giving immunity to people who have to use justifiable force. State Representative Jim Lucas from Seymour wrote the legislation to eliminate frivolous lawsuits against people who use justifiable force to protect themselves. Under current law, anyone who uses force to protect their property, loved ones, or themselves are protected from criminal prosecution, but not from civil lawsuits. Lucas says self-defense is a right and citizens should not fear being penalized for exercising that right.
What House Bill 1284 does is basically it's a Good Samaritan Protection Act. In Indiana, we currently have very strong protections in the case of criminal use of force in the event of self-defense, but we don't have those same protections on the civil side.
The bill was approved by committee and will now head to the full House for consideration. Kara Kenny, RTV6.
Still ahead here at 6, 2 Hoosier parents hope their presence will send a positive message at tonight's State of the Union address.
Plus, a new high school coming to Broad Ripple. The plans announced today to be in classes later this year.
And I'm Dave First, live at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. Big night tonight. A lot of gold up in the stands and a lot of purple as well. The Lakers are in town. That means LeBron, and that means Lance. We're going to hear from him coming up here on RTV6.
I've got some colors on radar as well, Dave. Representing some rain, some of it moderate to heavy, headed toward Anderson and Muncie. And then look at that, a little lightning strike in southern Illinois. February lightning, that too is in the forecast.
Group, the strength to make a difference.
This is RTV6 News at 6, working for you.
In less than 3 hours, President Trump will deliver his delayed State of the Union address to Congress and the nation. And Tyler Trent's parents are among those who will be there to see it in person. Their son died last month from bone cancer. The 20-year-old Purdue superfan gained national attention for his positive attitude and courage. Tony and Kelly Trent were invited to tonight's speech by Congresswoman Susan Brooks. Brooks told the family she wanted to honor them and Tyler's legacy.
In a time of where government can be so negative, she wanted to know if we would represent Tyler's life, just have some type of positivity in Washington, D.C.
Tony and Kelly say it's an incredible honor to be in the presence of the nation's leaders and continue to promote Tyler's legacy on a national level. We will have live coverage of the president's State of the Union speech, as well as the Democratic response from Stacey Abrams, the former candidate for governor from Georgia. This starts at 9 o'clock here on RTV6, the RTV6 app, and the RTV6 Facebook page.
Members of an Indiana National Guard unit based in Lafayette are preparing to head overseas. The departure ceremony is Saturday for 300 soldiers with the 638th Aviation Support Battalion. They are scheduled to be deployed for 9 months to Kuwait. They'll provide maintenance, logistics, and sustained support to Army aviation units throughout Southwest Asia. The departure ceremony is set for 10 a.m. Saturday at the Indiana Farm Bureau Football Center, better known as the Colts Complex. That is at 7001 West 56th Street. And Broad Ripple will once again be home to a high school. It's getting the second Indianapolis branch of Purdue Polytechnic High School. For the first time, it will be housed in it will be housed in a building at 1405 Broad Ripple Avenue, a few blocks from the old IPS Broad Ripple High School that closed last year. Up to 150 freshmen will begin school in August, and additional classes will be added each year until the charter school has about 600 students. Efforts are underway to find a permanent site for the school in the Broad Ripple area. Purdue Polytechnic already operates a charter school in Circle Center Mall.
Former Indiana Senator Joe Donnelly has a new job. He'll be teaching 2 classes this spring at his alma mater, the University of Notre Dame. One will be political science course, and the other will be in the Keough School of Global Affairs. Donnelly lost his re-election bid in November to Mike Braun. He received his bachelor's and law degrees from Notre Dame. Part of our new Hiring Hoosiers initiative is to connect you with job opportunities, and Taco John's is coming to Lebanon, and they're looking to hire employees for that new restaurant. They need to find up to 60 people in preparation for the March opening. The restaurant is now under construction next to Bill Estes Chevrolet. It'll be the first Taco John's in Lebanon and the third in the state. Look for this story on hiringhoosiers.com in order to apply.
Breaking news, guys. It's National Weather Person's Day.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes,
we
knew that.
I knew it was
National Weather Person's Day.
You know, I'm not asking for, adulation.
Your surprise is coming later, Kevin. Way to spoil it.
Go. Well, I thought I'd thank my dad. He started taking me to work with him on Friday nights back in 1972.
And changed your life.
And he shared his umbrella ever since. Nice guy. Temperatures in central Indiana warming through the evening and overnight. We'll wake up to around 50 degrees. We're in the 30s now, but we have 2 to 3 inches of rain with isolated higher amounts on the way. We'll see a wave of rain in the morning tomorrow, a little break, then a couple more waves of rain after that by the time we get to Thursday night. Here's your rainfall potential. Remember I mentioned spots more than 3 inches. I think that's most likely to the south now. Bedford, Seymour, Columbus, some spots there could see 4 inches and 2 to 3 in the metro area. We'll keep our eye on that. All of this sets up a dramatic change from Thursday to Friday. Anytime you have a 40-degree temperature drop, because that's what it will be from the afternoon hours on Thursday to Friday morning. We'll be down to 21. We only recover Friday afternoon to 25. It's easy to talk about it. It'll be a different thing to feel that. Okay, southern portions of Madison County, Pendleton toward Anderson. This has rolled through already. Fortville, McCordsville. It's in northeast Hancock County. We'll go between Newcastle and Muncie. Here's an area that's been producing some lightning. Not expecting any severe weather, but we very well may hear some rumbles of thunder over the next 48 hours as moisture flows from southwest to northeast. There's the flood watch. Technically goes into effect tomorrow evening through Thursday from Muncie to Indianapolis down to Terre Haute and areas south. A little bit of fog this evening, just like last